we've got a serious problem. We just spent a bunch of time building these beautiful hills as a family, which was a great family experience and everyone had a lot of fun. But now we've got to figure out how to store them properly and keep them safe in between games. A common problem for anyone that likes epic gaming tables. As we considered our next terrain project, we knew we wanted to prioritize storage. Luckily enough, around this time, Mini Wargaming was announcing their upcoming Kickstarter for Ruins of Perdition on their Discord channel. And when Matthew reached out for help to content creators, I put up my hand to experience this awesome terrain firsthand. So who is Mini Wargaming? They're a Canadian company in Welland, Ontario, who are truly passionate about the hobby. We as a family got to experience this when they gave us a tour of their facilities. We got to see their studios, their storage space, all of the awesome terrain that they have there, their models, their printing processes, and their printers. Obviously, they take a quality first approach. Knowing this and having seen this, I knew this Kickstarter was going to be worth it. Behold, the Ruins of Perdition. Well, at least a small sampling of it. What is it? It's stackable, modular, and magnetizable terrain that allows you to change the layout every time you play the game. It's easy to take apart, and you can stack it, taking up almost no space at all. Easy to store, easy to paint, durable, and very well detailed. You can make L-shaped ruins, U-shaped full buildings, stackable buildings, all important for matched play or narrative play. The design is gothic sci-fi and can be used in different games such as Ravaged Star, 40K, or any other futuristic war games. In their Kickstarter, they're going to offer bundles for terrain pieces, statues, they're going to have bridges, stairs, scatter terrain, so there's going to be options for all sorts of setups. And if you're interested in how we painted up our terrain set as a family with our kids, stick around and we'll walk you through our steps. Looking forward to painting up this statue. Very nice. To prep the ruins before priming, put the magnets in first. And you want to make sure you put them in with the right polarities. First thing I'm going to be tackling is the pillars. These need magnets glued into them. It's probably best not to have multiple people doing it, just to ensure you glue them all in the right poles. They're all made to fit the magnet size. They'll just slot right in there, super glue, and they're good to go. So I pulled out my activator as well. Give that a try, see if I like that any better. So the trick is to just get that magnet in there and then slide it as quickly as possible. Definitely takes a little bit of practice to get it down right though. Now you gotta be careful as you're placing them over there. If you pass them over each other too closely, you might obviously snap them together and inadvertently pull stuff off, pull magnets out. So be careful with that. I started getting glue, super glue all over my hands. So to make this a little bit easier, I made myself a little tool. I got 3 popsicle sticks, wrapped them around the magnets, and then painter's tape secured it nice and tight. So now I can push it down so that only one magnet is visible, pop it in the hole, and slide it right off. We didn't take any footage of our priming process, so I'm just going to go over how we did this. What I usually do is actually just take a big sheet of plywood, put a couple of strips of double-sided tape, put all of the terrain down standing up, and then prime them all off of that on our deck. So first I decided to start off with a filler primer. This will help with any 3D prints, just in any minor grooves, fill those in. So gave him a shot of that. Once that dried, I covered all these terrain pieces with a burnished amber spray paint, giving it a dark metallic tone to it. And then once that was dried, I gave it a sort of a zenithal prime of this antique copper. That went over top of all the terrain pieces, including the floorings and the statues. After priming everything, I gave everything a coat of Agrax Earthshade to give it a darker tone and tone down some of the antique copper. After everything got their layer of brown wash, we went into dry brushing. First, we used Brass Scorpion from GW and gave everything a heavy dry brush of this. Once that was done, I loaded everyone's brushes up with Screaming Bell, and we gave a light dry brush of this all over. And then the kids had fun. Well, we all had fun. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this. Nihilak oxide. It's a technical paint. It gives you that oxidized look, which I think turns out really nice. So everyone went to town on their terrain pieces using this and a thin brush. From there, we went into the rust layers. All right, so I'm going to do some dry rust effect. So I'm using the Army Painter Dry Rust Effects, and I'm just using a little sponge, grabbing some paint on it, wiping it off a little here, just dabbing it, add a little bit of texture here. So you can see the difference just with the first coat of the rust. And just another piece, I'm going to show the same step. Instead of using a sponge, just using an old large headed brush. When you're stippling, you want to make sure that you're not pushing too hard so that the bristles end up flattening out, because then you'll just get streaks instead of stipples. Just pushing enough so that the bristles touch. There you go, the two versions I have so far, one with a sponge and one with a brush stippled on. So the last step for these pieces is going to be Gamer's Grass Light Rust, so it's a pigment. I like to kind of sprinkle it on and then start dabbing on where we want that deposit. I'm just putting it randomly down wherever I feel like I want heavier look of rust. So this is sort of the lighter, and I'm going to have it heavier down here. Now you can see here, it's a little thick here. So what I'm actually going to do is very lightly put a little bit of water on my brush. It's a little moist, and just start rubbing some of this off on some of the raised areas. So let's just do a quick comparison here. So here, just comparing the rust pigments and the rust effect paint versus none of that. So you still have that coppery and the verdigris from the other paints, but here you can see it's dulled down and has that rustier look to it now. I'm just taking some rough iron. Let's see what this looks like. And go over it with gunmetal. That's going to be our flooring. Behold, the Ruins of Perdition.